You're muted.
In the spirit of reconciliation, the town of Fort Frances acknowledges with respect that it is situated on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and the Métis people of Treaty 3. We give gratitude and honor to the ancestors, elders, and all Anishinaabe and Métis people for sharing their resources and knowledge with us. Councillors, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest, and if so, state the general nature thereof? Seeing none. We'll go to delegations and deputations, and we'll start off with item 4.1. We have the Border Figure Skating Club represented here tonight by Ms. Nicole Katona. So, Ms. Katona, come on up. And just before you begin, Nicole, just a reminder to anyone doing a deposition, council doesn't make any decisions or take any action on depositions the same meeting as a deposition is given. So although you're all very, very welcome to stay for the entire council meeting, if you feel that you'd like to leave after the person giving the deposition is finished, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Okay, Nicole, take it away.
Thank you, Your Worship and council members. My name is Nicole Katona, and I am speaking tonight on behalf of the Border Skating Club. We are here tonight to ask Fort Frances Town Council to reconsider the decision of reassigning the Border Skating Club's dressing room. While we have submitted several letters to council over the past 3 years, we felt compelled to speak directly to you. Since 1955, the Border Skating Club has been a vital part of winter activities in the town of Fort Frances and surrounding communities, teaching and encouraging the sport of skating. The coaches of our club have taught basic skating skills, not only to figure skaters, but multiple hockey and ringette skaters as well. The letters and emails that you have received from many concerned citizens demonstrate the support the Border Skating Club has within our community. At this time, I would like to highlight excerpts from 2 of these letters that you have received. From Dr. Lorena Jenks, Fort Frances Clinic Family Physician. I am writing this letter to share my concern about the recent decision of the Fort Frances Town Council to turn over the dressing room that has been used by the Border Skating Club for the last 25 years to the Fort Frances Lakers and junior hockey team. I feel that this decision is unjustified for many reasons. First of all, when funds were being raised to develop the Ice for Kids arena prior to 2000, the Border Skating Club gave a donation of $5,000 to the fundraising campaign, partly to support the campaign and partly to have their own designated dressing room. This arrangement has been honored until the present time. My second reason is that the Ice for Kids was built exactly as it says, Ice for Kids. The first priority should be for the children and youth programming. To my knowledge, all of the local programs run as a non-for-profit organization and should have first priority to use of space. My third reason is that the Border Skating Club has been in continuous operation now for over 70 years, paying an estimated of $2.5 million minimum towards the cost of ice and rental fees over this time. I think that commitment needs to be recognized, and the skating club should be able to keep their dressing room space. The Memorial Sports Center is used by many patrons, not just hockey players. If you continue with the decision to give the Fort Frances Lakers the dressing room that has traditionally been used by the Border Skating Club, you are stating that men playing Junior A hockey are more important than the children learning to skate. Is this the message you wish to convey? I would also like to add the letter written from Mr. George Bell, Community Services Manager at the time the Memorial Sports Center was being built. I am writing in support of the Border Skating Club to provide important context regarding the dressing room facilities at the Memorial Sports Center. The Border Skating Club were actively involved in the fundraising efforts for the construction and improvement of the dressing room spaces. These contributions were made in good faith with clear understanding and shared intent that the facilities would be available on an ongoing basis. In addition to financial support, Border Skating Club were engaged in the design phase of the dressing room. Their input was sought and incorporated in the goal of ensuring the space would meet the needs of their athletes, not just at the time of construction, but well into the future. The Border Skating Club dressing room was never viewed as a short-term or limited use facility. Rather, it was built with long-term vision that it would continue to serve those who invested in it, both financially and through their involvement in planning and specific design for them. I kindly ask Council to recognize the history of collaboration and investment behind this space. It is important to uphold the original intention and commitment made to these community organizations, ensuring the dressing room remains exclusive to the Border Skating Club moving forward. The co-chairs of the Ice for Kids Committee, Dave Egan and Les Baker, have also echoed similar concerns, quoting, "The Muskies and the Border Skating Club were to each get a designated dressing room in the IFK arena. All the fundraising that we did was done on this premise." The location of the Border Skating Room is ideal for us because our programs use both the 52 and the Ice for Kids ice services. We host the Fort Frances Free Skating Competition on the 52 Canadians and our annual ice show on the IFK rink. We have treasured our dressing room for over 25 years and made it functional, colorful, and memorable for all those who have shared it. Graduating skaters sign the wall before they go off to university or college. We have Olympians and professional skaters who have shared the space with us and have signed the wall as well. This isn't just a room for us. It's our home, and it has a big piece of all our hearts. When we were approached by Ms. McLeod, current Recreation and Culture Manager, we were asked what compromise we were willing to accept and under what conditions. In good faith, we suggested dressing room number 3, not realizing that our other user groups were not consulted, nor what impact that choice would have on their organizations. We feel as though this backup plan was suggested we were okay with being moved. We are not. We utilize the Border Skating Club space for many other activities other than just putting on our skates before hitting the ice. We have dryland training, we hold club meetings, and use it as office space, storage, and a workplace. In response to the community suggestions, we began a petition in support of the Border Skating Club retaining our dressing room. To date, we have over 400 online signatures and 300 signatures on paper. We feel current council has dismissed the support the Border Skating Club has within the community. When the Ice for Kids rink was built, the Border Skating Club was a partner in the overwhelming community spirit this district demonstrated in fundraising for the second ice surface. Our support for that project was reflected in the planning and design of that space. This is the reason why our dressing room does not have a number. It has always been the Border Skating Club's, nor does it have a urinal. Suggesting we don't have ownership of that space is disrespectful of the commitment the community and council this time intended. In addition, we have also become aware of documentation, but at this time I cannot present it due to a family emergency that had taken place during our compiling, which I would also like to submit later once available. Thank you for listening, Your Worship and Council. We remain hopeful that working with all the user groups, we can find a solution that respects the history and needs of all parties involved.
Thank you very much, Nicole. It was an excellent presentation. Council, do you have any questions or comments? Councilor Bernetta.
Thanks, Nicole, for your presentation. I just want to remind you that I did vote against this idea, and I think it's really important that we keep in mind all of the time and energy that volunteers put into so many of our programs. And I'm wondering if we could ask the clerk to explain to everyone here what it would require for us to reconsider this motion.
Bearing in mind that no action can be taken tonight, I'll take that as an information item. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Through the chair, a member of council that voted for the original motion could submit a notice to reconsider. It would not get voted on tonight. It would get voted on at a subsequent council meeting. And it would require a 2/3 vote to pass for reconsideration.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. You're done, Councilor Bernard. Okay. Other questions or comments, councillors? Seeing none, again, thank you very, very much for a very fine presentation.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 5, we have a presentation from the Rainy River Future Development Corporation. We have the director, Is Angela Halverson here? Welcome, Angela.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for putting the presentation up. So, as Mayor Halikas mentioned, my name is Angela Halverson-Smith, and I am the Executive Director at Rainy River Future Development Corporation. I think most of you have had some interaction with us over time, and I appreciate the opportunity to give a highlight of what we've been working on over at the Rainy River Future Development Corporation. You want me to just nod or, yeah, okay, yeah, go ahead and move to the next slide, please. A little bit about the Community Futures program. We were established in 1985, and we are a community-based economic development office. We are there to help sustain and improve communities and local economies. There are 267 offices across Canada of Community Futures, 61 in Ontario and 9 in Northwestern Ontario. And of course, we are covering the Rainy River District. We are there to help rural Canadians to start or expand small businesses, as well as we are staffed with a team of professionals to assist in doing so. So there are 4 pillars to the Community Futures program. Our Community Futures program is funded by FedNor, which I'll mention in a moment. The 4 pillars include our community planning, which would be strategic planning and socio-economic development planning. We also support community-based projects, and I'm going to get into a little bit of each of these. Information for planning for businesses, whether it's for startup or expansion, and also access to capital for small and medium-sized enterprises, as well as social enterprises. Our mandate is to promote and support entrepreneurship, solution-based lending, and community partnerships in the pursuit of regional economic development. We are governed by a board of directors, and some of you may recognize some of the folks in the pictures there. Our current chair is Tammy Rill, and of course the other folks there you may recognize. We also have our business investment committee. Oh, there's a blank page there. Oh. Our business investment committee is the group that looks at all of the documents that are provided by businesses that wish to apply for funding or financing through Rainy River Future Development Corporation. Mr. John McTaggart is on that committee as well, and he's very open and very thankful participant that we thank for his advice and support. We do have an excellent team with us. We have myself, we have our bookkeeper administrator, Shari King. She's been with us. It's actually her work anniversary today. She's been with us 17 years. We have Charles Spears. He is our new business advisor, and he's been with us just about a year and a half now. Some may recognize the name Cindy Millette. She was kind of one of the founding employees at Rainy River Future Development Corporation, and she is back with us doing some projects with regard to Go Local and some other small projects as well. And Jeanette Costin is a long time person that has been employed with us as well, working on some of the tile drainage projects. Many of you will remember Jeff Gillen. He's our former executive director and is still working with us as a consultant in the organization. We also have Tanis Drysdale and Mike Willick. Mike Willick is our forestry consultant that we work with through the Boundary Waters Forestry Management Program. And as I mentioned earlier, we have Mohammed Narouzi and Greg DeSimone. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his last name. And they're our team from FedNor. And so that is the group of us. Myself, I've been with the organization 26 years and counting. I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. So starting tomorrow, or actually, sorry, next week, we're going to have our annual report out, and it will include an economic overview of the year past. And so I won't get into a lot of the details of our economic overview past, but I will talk a little bit more about some of the specific projects that we've been working on. So I will be sending out those annual reports after our annual meeting on September 16th. And we were going to be talking a little bit about some of the highlights and achievements that we've accomplished over the year. We have been working directly with the, we can go one more, with the workforce attraction and retention. We're trying to attract more people to the area to fill some of the job vacancies. We have been working with the Rainy River District Municipal Association on a promotional video to be able to attract more people to the area. We also are supporting some housing developments that are in the district as well to bring in more places for people to live when they do come to reside here. We've been working on a very large broadband expansion project. You probably remember Jeff talking about the Debajamoan project, which is bringing broadband to First Nation communities and First Nation adjacent communities in the area. We have our local initiatives program that I've announced previously at other Rainy River District Municipal Association meetings. And we've also been working on some tourism infrastructure and upgrades with some event expansion as well. The second pillar of Community Futures is support for community-based projects. So these are things like festivals, events, tourism growth strategies, agricultural initiatives, and some of our shop local programs. So some of you may recognize the big tent that just came down not that long ago from the waterfront. That tent does actually belong to Rainy River Future Development Corporation, and we put it up for the events of the Bass Championship here in Fort Frances, as well as the Rainy River Walleye Tournament in Rainy River. Another project that we've worked on for several years now is the hops project. And that would be a project learning more about growing hops in the area. So we've done a pilot project with the research station in Emo to find out what types of hops grow best in this area. We've also purchased a hops harvester. That's the one in the middle of the picture, and a hops baler. Actually, I think the baler is the one in the middle. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone knows more about that than I do. And so we have those available for farmers to use to process their hops. And what does hops do? It makes beer. So that goes back into the economy and turns out it kind of turns into beer. And the next one. So this is a shed that we put up to be able to house the tent, the hops harvester, and the hops baler. So that's located at the Emo Research Station. And so that's where our equipment lives while during the off season. The next one we also support is the Debajamoan project, and this is the project where we are able to assist with providing broadband to First Nation communities in the Treaty 3 area, and also to the the First Nation adjacent communities in those areas as well. The next one is the support for the Boundary Waters Forest Management Corporation. So that's where I was saying earlier with Mike Willick, where he will sit as a representative of our organization as well as represents the town of Fort Frances on the Boundary Waters Forest Management Corporation. And that is to look out for the best interest of the communities that we serve. We also support the the Go Local program, which is now shifting from Go Local to Celebrate Canada, just with a sign of the times that has happened over the recent months. So our Go Local cards will be sunsetting at the end of this year, and we'll be moving into a Celebrate Canada campaign from there. We also support the Municipal Accommodation Tax Committee, and that is a committee from some of the tax dollars that are brought in from the municipal accommodation tax. And those monies are delegated to that committee to work on marketing activities. So these are some of the activities that they've been working on listed on the presentation there. We also have our tile drainage project. So this is a project that is supported through the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund to be able to make, put tile drainage into our fields for better production of different crops. Particularly, there's a lot of wheat and canola. Trying to think, there's a lot of different types of hay. Hay is another one that we do a lot of produced here. So this just gives the farmer the ability to have better crops and better yields for their crops as well. We also have several community projects that events that we have supported in the last year. The Northwest International Ag Expo brought people from all across, not only Northwestern Ontario, but also Northeastern Ontario and some into the States. And we were able to support and assist with that project as well. It was a very interesting learning experience to go to that event and learn more about what the farmers are doing in the area. We also support the Emo Fair. We did a sponsorship of the Hometown Hoedown, which is a project that goes towards improvements at the Emo Fairgrounds, and we participate in the Emo Fair Market Square, which happened not that long ago, a couple weeks ago now. Another one that is sort of near and dear to my heart was the RCMP musical ride. So those of you that knows me personally, I'm a horse girl. So when we had the opportunity to bring in the RCMP musical ride, that was a project I very enthusiastically supported. So that came last year in July, and we had a really great turnout. I'm hoping that a few of you were able to make it out to that event. The actual RCMP riders were quite impressed with our facility, as well as the number of people that came out to support the event. So it was quite entertaining. And I think it was 1992 was the last year that they had come to the area. We also participate in some of the trade shows in the area, including the one from the Fort Frances Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Rainy River Rec Center trade show. A couple of other trade shows that we do include the Spring Into Business Funding Forum that was it was over at the Nanakos building on Couchiching, and we did the welcoming week for the people coming to the area, and that took place in September of 2024. So you can go to, thank you. We also are involved with the BIA, which last year we were involved with the Christmas in July campaign, as well as the one that was just in July this year. And we support the Perro Center for Women's Enterprise through an award at the Perro Summit. A couple of other events that we're involved in include Perro comes in, the Perro Center for Women's Enterprise, and we do a mix and mingle to introduce and do networking event with female entrepreneurs. And we also did a support for the harvest dinner for the Rainy River District Regional Abattoir. Some other events that we are involved in include Ag Day, that was on April 5th. And we also support the Manitou Fish Fry, or Rainy River First Nations Manitou Rapids Fish Fry. One that's coming up very near and dear also, and coming up very soon this Friday, is the Burger Wars. So that is a new event for the area, and we're pretty excited about it and hoping to have a good turnout. So if there's anyone here that doesn't have a ticket yet, please feel free to grab a ticket. There will be tickets. I'm going to do a little shameless promo here. There will be tickets available at the event as well. Lots of things, just the Burger War itself, but there's also lots of other activities happening during the Burger Wars event as well. We also have our local initiatives program, which I've done presentations on in the past, so I won't get into too many details on how that program works today, also for fact of time. I'm sure I'm getting close to the end of my available time, but We have been able to support several projects through the Local Initiatives Program. And we also, I'm going to step now into Pillar 3, which is the business information and support. So between myself and Charles over at the office, we were able to handle 873 inquiries last year. So I don't think everyone realizes just how very busy our office is. We were able to assist in 24 businesses to start, expand, or maintain their businesses, and assisted to create 39 jobs. And so that is just on the business support side of our organization. The lending side is something a little more. What we do for the business information and planning services, we do access, we assist with our business planning. We also assist with market research. We have our loan navigation. So sometimes people will look for a loan. They don't necessarily need to get a loan through us, but we will assist to make sure they're able to find the best financing products that we can for them. We also assist with regulatory items such as licensing and other funding organizations. And in some cases, succession planning for businesses. That somebody is looking to either retire or sell and they wish to sell their business. So we will help them with that succession as well. And we do that through a number of things. One of them includes workshops and training. So during Small Business Week, we always have a number of different workshops available. We often will host how to start a business. So the next ones coming up are actually in October. So we're going to host one in Fort Frances, one in Chapel, and one in Rainy River. We've also hosted buying a business. So buying a commercial property in particular can be tough to navigate. So we assist with that. Recently, we've done a few workshops on immigration, bringing people into the area that wish to immigrate here from outside of Canada. One very popular workshop that we do is on social media. Social media changes so quickly all the time. So we like to be able to offer that assistance with businesses that are trying to navigate social media and how to promote their businesses. And of course, writing a business plan is a big part of any business startup. And so we assist with that. We do workshops on that. We also do a lot of individual one-on-one assistance. And last year during Welcoming Week, we were able to put on some workshops to assist with getting acquainted with social insurance numbers, apprenticeships, dental plans, things like that. So we were able to assist with putting on that type of a workshop.
Angela, I'm sorry to interrupt. Just time, you have 3 minutes left.
Okay, thank you. So the final pillar that we have is our access to capital, and that includes our loan program. So that is investing in local businesses. And for last year, we were able to assist 8 businesses and dispersed $734,000. And we were able to create 4 jobs and also leverage $3.1 million in additional funding. And we can go fairly quickly through the next slides because there's some of the people that we've assisted. And these have all given us permission to use their photos in this presentation. So Dust Off the Soul here in Fort Frances. We have Hallett Brewing. They were also here in Fort Frances. McDowell Aviation. That was a young entrepreneur looking to buy a plane and further his business. We have the Rainy River Bakery and Restaurant in Rainy River. We also have a funding with the Royal Canadian Legion in Rainy River. And I'm not going to try and pronounce the name. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it well. So we call it WB Clean Energy Corporation. We're able to assist them in getting further in their applications and financing program. We have WJ Contracting in Fort Frances. And then lastly, I just wanted to say we do have about $4.5 million out in loans right now, as well as looking ahead, a lot of doing what we're doing now and looking at other projects moving forward. And I think that's my time. So I wanted to leave 1 minute for questions if I have 10 seconds for anyone.
We have time for a few questions. First of all, I just want to thank you for a very informative presentation. And also, thank you for all of the great work that you and the Rainy River Future Development Corporation do, not just in Fort Francis, but in our whole district.
Thank you.
I think we can get a flavor of it there from the extensive presentation. So thank you very much. Councillors, questions or comments? Councillor Firth?
Thanks for your very detailed presentation. Appreciate it. I have a lengthy question, but it'll boil down really quick.
Okay.
With animal whole carcass processors becoming more limited in the district, and as well as topography of flat land being a challenge, is there anything else that we could be doing to increase food or cereal production? Because I noticed that you've got committing soon for your drainage for project number 9. Is there more coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund will entertain another tile drainage project, and we do have interest from the agricultural producers in the area to continue that program. And so our role in that is that we administer the funds, and we work directly with the farmers to assist them with, filing their claims for the tile drainage project. So they get the tile drainage done, they pay for it, they come to us, they get everything filed and claimed, and then we were able to get the money. So we're sort of an intermediary on that program. Your question about the animal carcass, there are things in the works there that I can't really discuss openly, but there are some opportunities potentially coming our way in that as well.
Thank you for that question. And the answer, Councillor McTaggart?
Thank you, Angela, for your presentation. The Go Local has been a very successful program, I think, over years, and it's kind of, I think, phased out now. And will the new program be of similar style?
No, it will be more inclusive, I believe. So at the moment, with the Go Local program that we're utilizing, only the merchants, the 30 merchants that are signed up for the program, are able to utilize the program. And so when we switch over to it's more of a marketing campaign and a shop local type campaign that will be utilized by all of the merchants in the area, instead of just the 30 that signed up for that program. We are also transitioning to offer them the opportunity to have their own loyalty program if they wish. Like when this program started 13 years ago, there were no or very few loyalty programs. There was Air Miles and 1 or 2 others. Well, now every merchant seems to, especially the larger branded ones, seem to have their own loyalty programs. And so that's where we've decided that our program is becoming obsolete, but they will be given the opportunity with some assistance to get their own local loyalty programs as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Firth?
For your perspective, with the COVID loans that you mentioned, have all the businesses fully recovered from that from your perspective?
Well, the ones that didn't are obvious because most of them have not. They've closed their doors. But the ones that we've assisted, I think there's only a few. I'd have to look back at my number here to see how many are left, but there's only a few left as far as the COVID loans that we gave out initially. In fact, I think this next 6 months, there's about 8 of them that are going to be paid out in full. So it's taken a while because, we're now in 2025. But those that have hung on, I think some of our assistance with that has really helped them. But the ones that didn't make it are pretty obvious because they're no longer. Yeah.
Councillor Morrison?
Through your chair, thank you very much for your presentation, Angela. And I just want to say I'm always fascinated with the workshops that you guys come out with. I look forward to the emails all the time. But I wanted to add, my business is one of the ones we were very successful. And then when COVID came, our world pretty much crashed down. I have a U.S.-run business. And also, we couldn't cross the border, couldn't even get a check from the post office across the border. And I just want to appreciate River Future Development Corporation, all your support you had. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for those kind words. I appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments, councillors? Well, thank you for those questions. And once again, thank you for an excellent presentation, Angela.
Thank you so much for having me, and look forward to working with you more in the future.
We'll be seeing it at the Burger Wars on Friday.
Yes, yes, please.
Okay, moving on to correspondence. Item 6.1 is a letter from George Bell, who's the former cultural and rec manager, on the change rooms. We heard that letter read aloud earlier. Councilors, any questions or comments on George Bell's letter? Seeing none, we'll send him a response that we received it with thanks. 6.2, again, another letter from Dr. Lorena Jenks, which was read out to councilors earlier. Any questions or comments on Dr. Lorena Jenks' letter? All right, then she too will receive a response from us saying that we receive her letter with thanks. Item 6.3, this is a request for a letter of support from council to help designate the route, the rivers, from Lake Superior all the way to where Rainy River enters Lake of the Woods. Councils of the past have supported this. They've got support from area First Nations, and they're looking for support again from the town of Fort Frances. They're very close to getting this river system designated as a Canadian Heritage River System. So, councilors, I'm going to put an oral resolution on the floor. I'll get it moved and seconded, and then we can discuss it, that we acquiesce and provide a letter of support for this request. Could I get a mover and seconder for that? Councilor Burnetta, Councilor Firth. And now, councilors, questions or comments? Councilor Burnetta?
Yeah, I'd like to see this go through. You kind of wonder what it gives us in terms of anything, but it is I think a really worthwhile thing to do, and perhaps in the future it might bring different things like tourism opportunities. So I support it.
Thank you very much, Councilor Burnett. Any other questions or comments? Calling the question, all in favor? That's carried. No one was opposed. Okay, moving on to council reports and board activities. I'll try to keep mine very, very short, but August was a busy month. I'll condense a number of these. We've had an ongoing issue now for several years with American anglers. They can come into Canadian waters, and as long as the American fishing guide has a work permit, which the Canadian government gives out, they don't have to go through any port of entry. So the anglers and guides don't have to go through customs. And they use this. They advertise to their clients in the American states to come on up. You don't have to go through customs. What we're seeing now is a proliferation of resorts on the American side of Rainy Lake and Lake of the Woods to the detriment of local guides and local fishing camps. So with the request, at the request of a coalition of local fishing guides and camps, we've been dealing with this for some time now. And I want to give a shout out to Minister Rickford, who's been invaluable in mobilizing the Ontario government to deal with this, although the real problem is with the federal government. It can be solved simply by stopping issuing these work permits. And I might add, this is coming through the free trade agreement, so that's up for negotiation soon. And part of the free trade agreement stipulates that these work permits should be reciprocal. Canadian guides should be getting work permits to work in the States in American waters, but in fact, when they apply for them, they're turned down flat, so they don't get them. So there's some gross unfairness there. So I'm kicking this off by saying I was invited to a roundtable discussion in Kenora by Minister Rickford. Minister Harris, the head of the MNR, was present, so I got to sit right next to him and have a very good discussion with him. Both Ministers Rickford and Harris were very concerned. Minister Harris indicated that the MNR now is using drones. They're getting OPP officers trained to fly the drones, and he promised that there would be a drone up here to surveil how many of these American, some of them are flotillas. You'll see a guide boat and several boats of anglers going up into Canadian waters. and they want to get some data as to how many are going. So this has been ongoing since that meeting. I've had more than one meeting with Minister Rickford. We've exchanged emails, we've exchanged phone calls. I got a letter recently from some guides who are very, very concerned that recently, and every year, International Falls hosts a bass tournament, but they do the bulk of their fishing in Canadian waters. And most fishermen, to their credit, are conservationists. They're very good at looking after the resources. But what the local guides are saying is that some bass fishermen are going and fishing bass in deep water. They're bringing them up to the surface quickly, and there's a high mortality rate with these bass. And so, again, I got immediate action from Minister Harris and Minister Rickford for that particular weekend. They did put extra conservation officers on. Some of you may have noticed there were conservation officers coming to town, pulling boats and putting them in at the marina. So we are getting some traction on this issue, and the province knows that it's a serious issue. We have to keep pushing, though, with the feds. A highlight of the month was the induction of several local people into the Fort Frances Sports Hall of Fame. So I want to give a shout out to the organizer, Scott Fawcett, who every year puts these on. And this year we saw 6 inductees. We saw 3 athletes, 2 teams, and 1 builder. And I'm really pleased to say that a former councillor, Councillor Rick Wiedenhoff, was inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame as a builder. So a big shout out to Councillor Wiedenhoff for that. There were several media interviews this month on a variety of topics. One was on strong mayor powers. There's quite a lot of interest in that. Another one was a pre-AMO interview, and then following AMO, there was a post-AMO interview. I had an interview about our airport, the funding that it needs and what we're doing about that. That was also an AMO delegation. I got an interview with Minneapolis media on tariffs and how we're feeling them up here and what in general we feel, what Canadians feel about the Americans in view of President Trump. I had a lengthy report on AMO, but I'll leave that for you to read. There was also a very lengthy article in the Times on the AMO report. Another issue, and I want to make sure the council's aware of this, is there's the possibility of getting some industry in Fort Frances. I know that you're aware of that. We have Highbury coming very, very close to getting into a position where they're going to build. And we have First Light, who are moving forward with batteries and solar farms. So these are energy industries, and for an industry like Highbury, if Fort Frances Power Corporation is going to supply them with energy, they need to supply considerably more energy than they're supplying right now to the entire town of Fort Frances, which means that Fort Frances Power Corporation is going to have to upgrade some of its infrastructure. One of the things they're going to have to do is they're going to require a new transformer to handle larger loads. They're going to require lines that can handle 44 kilovolts instead of the lower voltage they're handling now. And depending upon whether First Light connects with us, with their battery storage and with their solar farm, we may need to get a second connection to Hydro One. So if we want to attract industry, and not just these two, for the future, we need to start investing in the Fort Frances Power Corporation right now. And so to that end, to trying to get my head around the magnitude of the project and all the moving pieces, I've had great support from our engineering staff, in particular from Manager Rob, had great support from the Fort Frances Power Corporation CEO. I've been talking with Ox Energy on a number of times. And so I've met with these groups individually. I've met with them collectively. We've had our CIO in on the conversations, and the conversations are ongoing. At some point, there'll be presentations to council on this, but I want council to be aware that if we are serious about attracting industry to Fort Francis, council is going to have to make some investments in the Fort Francis Power Corporation. If we want to get a new transformer, we need to start doing that now. There's a two-year lag time between ordering a transformer that we need and the time that we would have it, in addition to building lines and getting a connection to Hydro One. So we need to start working on this stuff now. And so you'll be hearing more of this, but I really encourage you to please do keep up on my reports. And if you have any questions, by all means, contact me and I'll try and answer them. On a more somber note, we had one of our finest citizens pass away. And I attended the funeral on behalf of council. Dr. Robert Lidke passed away. At one time, Dr. Lidke, or Dr. Bob, as we affectionately called him, was the youngest optometrist in the province. And later on, he was the oldest practicing optometrist in the province. But in addition to that, he set an example for all of us. He was a lifelong volunteer. He was a longtime member of the Kiwanis Club. I can't recall how many years, but he never missed a meeting. He had perfect attendance. And over his very lengthy and storied career, he received many accolades. If you look here in our foyer or at the arena, you'll see the quote that he coined, which is that volunteerism is the price that we pay to live in a good community. And Dr. Bob lived that. So he was one of us. He was a former town councillor, served on many boards and committees, and he'll be sorely missed. And so I invite you to join in a moment of silence to honor our fallen comrade, Dr. Bob Lidke. Thank you. I want to give another shout out to Wichitawan and Councilor Morrison. Wichitawan, on behalf of Rainy River First Nations, organized a healing walk. August is Overdose Awareness Month. And so a healing walk was organized to go from the Sorting Gap Marina to Rainy River First Nation, or pardon me, to the Friendship Center on Scott Street, and a meal was provided there. It was a really moving walk with many survivors there, and I think the highlight of the walk for me was we had Chief Marcel Horton of Rainy River First Nations speak to us before we left about the effects that residential schools and the resultant drug abuse and alcoholism had on his family and him personally when he was growing up. So I really appreciate Wichitawan and all of these events that they organize and are always open to every member of the public. As always, I have regular meetings with Chief Breer, and you can read what we discussed about, but he's very supportive of things that Fort Francis is doing, as we're very supportive of things that Couchiching is doing. I'm also meeting on a regular basis with Chief Marcel Horton. And I think the highlight of my past month was I was invited by the clerks to take part in Elopement Day, where they had 4 weddings going on in one day, and all of the weddings were outside of our facilities here at the Civic Center. And I was invited to officiate at one of the weddings, and it was really a joyful and delightful occasion. So I thank the clerks for that. And I thank them for their ingenuity. The people who got married were ecstatic that they could come in and do everything within an hour or two, get a license, do the wedding, and it was all friendly and above board and accommodating to their wishes. So these weddings took place on a dock on Rainy River. The clerks had decorations on the dock. Up there behind at the back of the gallery, you can see the backdrop that they had on the dock. But as well, They had a little table to sign the official documents, and they had little gifts for the people who were getting married. And it's one of those things that catches the attention of the public and the media. So CBC contacted the clerks and did an interview, a really good interview, and did an article. And one of the Thunder Bay media outlets have also contacted the clerks. And these articles are getting lots of hits and lots of good comments about the wonderful things that the town of Fort Frances is doing. And this is all on our clerks. Yes, indeed, that's well deserved. Last week, we raised the survivor's flag here at the Civic Center. That was a really good event. Town of Fort Frances is very serious about reconciliation. We are part of the Reconciliation Committee. Our clerks attend the committee. Councillor Morrison is on the committee. And they do a lot of work. And in particular for this event, Councillor Morrison did a phenomenal amount of work getting it off the ground, and our clerks did a phenomenal amount of work with help from our staff in putting on a barbecue. But the turnout was excellent, and we're getting a lot of turnout from Indigenous organizations. They're beginning to see that we're very, very serious about reconciliation, and you can feel that people at the event are moved by the event. So it was a really first-rate production, and I'm very, very grateful for our clerks and for Councillor Morrison in getting it on. And again, we had really moving words there by a survivor speaking about the effects that residential schools had on he and his family. So again, very, very happy about that. And then the last thing I want to speak about is just I want to congratulate Hometown Furniture and Appliances. They had a grand opening. We have a brand new store on Scott Street in the old Howarth building. So congratulations and best wishes to Hometown Furniture and Appliances with their big, brand new, beautiful store. And with that, I'll move on to Councillor Behan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, everyone. I attended an executive meeting of the Rainy River District Municipal Association held on Wednesday, August 27th at 6 p.m. at the Chapel Municipal Office in Barwick. The minutes of the previous executive meeting held April 30th were approved, as was the treasurer's report, which indicated a bank balance of $38,566.58 as of July 31st, which is up from $37,177.56 as of December 31st, 2024, based on revenues of $18,726.39 versus expenditures of $17,337.37 to date. There also was discussion on choosing guest speakers for the RRDMA's next general meeting, which is scheduled for Wednesday, September 17th. It's a week from Wednesday, here in the council chambers at 7 p.m. Hopefully all members of Fort Frances Council are able to attend that evening. Turning to the Chamber of Commerce, I can report that preparations are well underway for the Chamber's annual Business Awards Gala, which is scheduled for Wednesday, September 24th at La Place Rendezvous. Categories this year are home-based business, youth entrepreneur, businesswoman of the year, new business, 1 to 3 years old, indigenous business, business of the year, 1 to 15 employees, business of the year, 16 plus employees, business owner / manager of the year, customer service for both individual and business, tourism and hospitality, and small business trainer of the year. To submit a nomination, visit the Chamber's website at fortfrancischamber.com, go to the events button, and then click on the link with nominations closing on September 14th. Dinner will feature turkey with all the trimmings, with Dr. Bruce Litke acting as MC and Steve McAvoy to be the auctioneer. You can contact Chamber Executive Director Heather Johnson for more information and ticket details. I also can report that Rhonda Howells was hired on August 6th to be the marketing and event planner for both the Chamber and BIA as a joint effort. This position is for a 1-year term thanks to funding from the NOHFC. She's already hard at work helping to plan for the Business Awards Gala. That concludes my report for this month. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Behan. Councilor Burnett has no report, and we'll go to Councilor Morrison.
To the chair, thank you for the kind words. I just wanted to say, Gitchy Big Witch to everybody who took part in flag raising on September 2nd. Everything was awesome. We appreciate the proclamation by your worship. Clerks and the CEO have all been part of the Truth and Reconciliation Committee. So I just want to say thank you to you guys, and you guys were all a pleasure to deal with, and we sure appreciate the barbecue lunch, and it was a very great day of reconciliation. Thank you, Big Witch.
Thanks, Councilor Morrison. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. We have 4 items this evening. 8.2 deals with the regular council meeting minutes of August 11th, and the recommendation reads that council approve the regular council meeting minutes of August 11th, 2025 as presented. 8.3 boards and committee meeting minutes. The recommendation reads that the following boards and committee meeting minutes be received as information. The Downtown BIA minutes of July 9th, 2025. 8.4 are financial statements for the period ending July 31st, 2025 for the general fund and the water and sewer fund, and the recommendation reads, the council received the attached financial statements in report AR-25-0885 for the general fund and the water and sewer fund for the period ending July 31st, 2025 as information. And finally, 8.5, this is the capital program update number 4. Recommendation reads that council receive report AR-25-0874 as information. Councilors, would you like to pull any of those? Councilor McTaggart?
8.5, please.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, back to you, Councilor McTaggart.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. Thank you, Mr. Rob, for your report on the various projects, but I have to say that I'm disheartened to learn that we will again close down 3rd Street West, a major transportation artery, for a second year. And I'm concerned that what was to be a 1-year job is now dragged out into 2. And so am I correct in assuming or saying that it was a 1-year job?
Go ahead, Councilor Rob.
Thank you, through the chair. Yes, the terms of the contract were for work to be wrapped up by September 19th, I believe, this year.
Go ahead.
So with that information, do you have a timeline for completion in 2026? Just so that those that are inconvenienced have some kind of timeline.
Manager Rob?
Thank you, through the chair. At this time, I don't have a schedule proposed for next year's work.
One more. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll move over to Scott Street. How will this project completion and the recently awarded contract for the Mosier to Armit be managed so that the job is completed in 2026 and not cause a 3rd year of road closure on Scott Street?
Manager Rob.
Thank you, through the chair. So the Scott Street Phase 2, which is the 2026 portion of the works, was tendered with a very similar construction schedule, being to have it wrapped by, and I don't have the date right off the top of my head, I apologize, but sometime in mid to late September of 2026. With that, at this point, I don't have a construction schedule yet from the contractor. Agreements haven't been signed yet for that work. So I don't know what their plan on tackling that road within the allocated time is.
Councilor Morrison.
To the chair, I'm just curious, what are the issues that are holding up and going to move it on next year?
Manager Rob.
Unfortunately, I don't have anything major to really point to. Both projects have had a couple of challenges, as honestly most roadworks projects do. But we're talking delays in around maybe 5 days, so nothing major. The 3rd Street project is quite deep. Ground conditions there, however, given the depth, are quite good. So actually working within the road allowance isn't too bad. Nice wide road allowance, lots of room to work. Scott Street's not quite as deep. It's still fairly deep, not quite as deep. Ground conditions not quite as good. Road width not quite as wide. So a little bit more congested work in that area. But you know, the geotechnical information was out with the tender packages, so there shouldn't be anything that's too surprising there. And like I said, unfortunately, there's not one big thing that is really the you know, pointing towards what has caused the delay.
Follow up?
To the chair, thank you very much for the information. I'm just wondering, in our contracts, is there anything, if they don't finish it by the end of the year, are there any kind of penalties for the contractors? Because it's going to be a major disruption to our citizens having to detour again.
Manager Rob.
Thank you, through the chair. Yes, both contracts do have a liquidated damages clause that will take effect later this year.
Councillor Mackey?
Thank you, Your Worship. Firstly, I'm wondering, it appears that there hasn't been a substantial reason why they're not on schedule. They have to account for minor delays. So when did we first find out that they were not going to finish this project this year?
Manager Rob?
Thank you, through the chair. So the last capital update that I had before you was on the meeting of August 11th. I found out on August 14th.
Follow up?
Not right now.
Okay. Councillor Bien.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. I'm just curious, Manager Rob, do you have a timeline when 3rd Street West to be reopened to traffic this year's? Thank you.
I can see you searching. Go ahead.
Thank you, through the chair. The most recent schedule that we have from the contractor, which was delivered just last week, last Tuesday, they are planning the week of October 28th.
So then
Yep.
we're going to go through all of September and all of October still with the detours. Correct.
Through the chair, yes, that's correct.
Further questions? I just have one as a follow-up to Councillor McTaggart's. When do you think we might have some sort of schedule from the contractor as to how much additional time it will take next year?
Well, pending passing of a bylaw and completion of executed contracts, the soonest that I could foresee a schedule coming from the contractor would likely be, you know, probably sometime late this year. They're going to want to know where they've left off and how they've left off with the Scott Street and 3rd Street works, as that will be priority number 1 for them before they move on to the 2nd Street or the 2nd phase of Scott Street. So that's probably the soonest that I could anticipate seeing something from them for the phase 2 work.
And I'm assuming that once you have that information, you'll let us know in a report of sorts.
Through the chair, yeah, as things progress with the phase 2.
Great. Thank you. Anything else before we move on? So I have a recommendation that reads that council approve the consent agenda as follows. Agenda items 8.2, 8.3, 8.4. Could I get a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Bien, Councillor Bernetta. Any further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. No one was opposed. Okay, moving back to item 8.4, I have a recommendation that council receive report AR-25-0874 as information. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor McTaggart, Councillor Firth. Any further discussion on this one? All in favor? It's carried. No one was opposed. Thank you. Councillors, moving to number 9, item number 9, Administration and Finance Division reports. Nine point 1. This is an Indigenous internship position. And the recommendation reads, the council approves to establish an Indigenous internship program within the Administration and Finance Division, supported by funding from the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation under the Indigenous Workforce Development Stream, and that the Human Resources Manager be authorized to proceed with an application for funding to the NOHFC under the Indigenous Workforce Development Stream for the sum set out in option 2 of this report. And that once the funding application is approved, the Human Resources Manager be authorized to proceed with the recruitment process for an internship program spanning from January to December 2026, and that the town's contribution of $22,387.98 be allocated from the 2026 operating budget. Could I get a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Firth, Councillor Morrison. Councillors, questions, comments? Councillor McTaggart.
Thank you, Your Worship. In principle, I support this motion if there is work for this request. So my question is then, is there a workload demand that we require another person?
HR Manager.
Thank you, through the chair. Yes.
Follow up. Excellent question, excellent answer. Let's have more of those. Councillor Mackey.
Thank you, Worship. My concern is with the pay structure option A versus B, and then in relation to the existing town employees, an intern position at $25 versus somebody that's worked here 20 years doing a different job making $24. How do we reconcile that to the existing staff is my question.
Thank you. HR Manager Sexton.
Thank you, through the chair. We are in desperate need of staff. We don't have enough staff to actually for the workload that we have. So this is a great opportunity not to just share that workload, but also in regards to the funding, have a big portion of the funds for that be covered by this grant.
Thank you. Follow up.
Thank you, Worship. So we have a large need for more staff, yet the position getting filled is contingent on us getting funding. So if we don't get the funding, we're not getting the staff, and which is telling me that it's not so important that we need them because we're relying on getting funding. So which is it? Are we getting the money to fill a position, and then when the funding's done, is the job done?
CEO Michaels.
Thank you, Your Worship. There's definitely a competing interest. At the end of the day, we have X amount of resources to deliver the goods. Our approach is if we can find models like this where we can pay a fraction of the cost and we can look for funding to increasing staff, this is what we support. This is at least what I support, is that approach. You're right. Without funding, we have to do a deeper dive to look at those competing interests, prioritize them, and say, okay, what's going to be left out, because we have to pay the whole bill. Now, certain programs, sort of like capital projects, sometimes the federal government will say, hey, this is out. That changes your priorities. This has changed our priorities, and to us is great value for the dollar. So we will exist without it. This will make our lives way better, and we wouldn't recommend this at this time without this funding model in front of you. So I hope that kind of breaks down the rationale, but we'll go on if we must, but we think we've presented something that offsets some of the pressures for taxpayers in the 2026 budget while bringing in some help that we desperately need everywhere. And that's not unique to Fort Francis, but I hope that summarizes our perspective on why we choosing this one at this time. Thank you.
Thank you,
Worship.
CAO. Further questions or comments? Councillor Bernetta.
More of a comment, but I've myself applied for many of these internship grants, and they are very helpful in the short term. We've actually, the town has done it as well, I know, with our IT position. So I guess the concern is, after the 1 year is up, then you still have that workload, and how do you manage that? So I can foresee that that's a discussion for the future. But yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to really to bring someone in, give them experience, and also help alleviate some of the short-term pressures.
Further questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Anyone opposed? That carries. Nine point two is our youth counselor policy. Put a recommendation on the floor that reads that council approve of the drafted youth counselor policy and that council direct administration to bring forward a bylaw at the next meeting of council for formal adoption of this policy. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Morrison and Councillor Mackey. Any discussion or comments? I'm seeing thumbs up, but no discussion or comments. Councillor Dion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I certainly agree with, I think it's a good way to go, and I'm in favor of the having a youth counselor on board to help get their perspective on various issues that affect youth. I'm just curious, I'm not sure where I read it. I believe it said that they must be attending a school in Fort Francis. Can they reside in Fort Francis, but say attend secondary school at 7 Gens? Do they not offer a secondary program as well, not just post-secondary? Even though it's not maybe in town Fort Francis limits, but the person who is attending may be living in Fort Francis. I see that we're sending out to Fort High and UNFC, but I'm wondering if we should also include 7 Generations as that to attract that kind of maybe somebody there that might be interested. Thank you.
Madam Clerk?
Through the chair, if council would like to include 7 Generations, I think that would add to the policy.
I'll ask you in a moment if you want to change that, but just to be clear, you're suggesting that the person must live in Fort Francis but could attend 7 Gens. That would, okay. Is council okay with that change? Seeing nods. Okay, council okay with that change. Okay, so we'll make that change. And on that basis, any further questions or comments? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried. No one was opposed. Item 9.3, the budget schedule. Recommendation reads that council approve report AR-25-0884 being the proposed 2026 budget schedule using strong mayor powers as set out in OREG 530/22. And further, the council reduced the time period set out in subsection 7(3) of OREG 530/22 to pass a resolution making an amendment to the proposed budget from 30 days to 27 days. And further, that administration schedule these meetings to take place at the time of days outlined in option. So first I'll get a mover and seconder, and then you can tell me what option you'd like. So mover and seconder, Councillor Behan, Councillor Firth. Which option would you prefer, councillors? Maybe I'll just go down the row and get a sense of the majority. Councillor Firth on the hot seat. Which option would you like, Councillor Firth? Did I ask you too soon?
I'll go with the option 1.
Okay, 1. Councilor Bernetta? I'll come back to you.
Okay, come back.
Councilor
to me.
Bean?
I'm thinking because some of our counselors do have full-time jobs, I was leaning towards option 2, but I think I will stick with option 1.
Okay. Councilor Mackey?
Thank you, Your Worship. At this point, I don't think I am prepared to accept either one because I don't believe that mayoral veto should be in there, period.
I'll let the treasurer speak to that in a moment. We're just getting the options. So you'll hold your option? Okay. Councilor Morrison?
I was going with the option 4 only because I do work full-time to 4:30, and for me to come earlier, I'd probably take vacation time to get off at 4. We're in a union, so we can't really flex our time.
Oh, that's.
Okay.
Option 4.
Okay. Councilor McTaggart?
It doesn't matter to me.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Just regarding the option 4 one, 5 o'clock, I understand the reasoning for it, but on days when we have council meetings, that only give us half an hour, and I don't think that's enough time to discuss the budget in that half-hour time frame before our regular council meeting starts, which is why I'm in favor of the 4th. Thank you.
And I'll go to Madam Treasurer. Can we talk a little bit about why there has to be that reference to strong mayor powers in there, even though you've explained in the write-up that I'm opposed to them and don't want anything to do with them?
Certainly, through the chair. So as you all know, strong mayor powers have come in effect. And if we're going to start our budget process anywhere before February 1st, strong mayor powers are in effect for this budget. If we want to start on February 2nd, we can do that. However, it's delaying everything. Speaking with Travis in particular, capital is very important if we can get it taken place and discussed so that we can start our tendering processes early in the year. So that's really why we went with this option. Yes, the mayor is opposed to it. I do feel that as we move through this, you will probably find it's rather seamless and a lot like our other years of processes. However, we still need to have that timeline in place for council. We've changed it to 27 days instead of 30, just to make the calendar work. So then council will have that opportunity to submit their changes that they request. We need to have another meeting after that so that at that 27th day, we make the decision. We, being council, make the decisions if those changes will be implemented or not. And then that does give the next step being the mayor veto. If the mayor does decide to veto, which he has full rights to do so, then we'll have another meeting where council can veto the mayor's veto. I know it's a little bit complicated and we're working through the process.
Yeah, so the short answer is we have to do it because it's legislated. When the treasurer came to discuss this with me, I said, I want to keep the budget process as similar as possible to what we've always done. And this is the attempt to do that. I don't plan on vetoing anything. I suspect the budget process will just move as it has in the past. There'll be no vetoes. I think the only thing we really have to decide is which time option you want, which looks like it's going to be muddy. Councilor McTaggart?
I'm prepared to work with the people that have a full-time job. So whatever works. It's up to 3 people that have jobs that really have to look at.
Councilor Morrison?
Similar to the library committee, I can be here like at 4:37. Okay. The library committee actually shifted the time for me to 4:35. I mean, even if you guys, if it's okay if I come a little late, if
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I'm good.
We can
No
make it
option.
work.
I'm good for 4:30 then.
Okay, CAO?
Thank you, Your Worship. One point that we had discussed administratively is we could begin the first meeting. I know Councillor Bean had mentioned it only gives us half an hour. We can advertise that the regular meeting of council will happen after. I know in the past we've done that. It'd only be for a few meetings, so we can begin at 4:30, 5 o'clock, whatever council leans on. We'll make the public very aware that, it's a flex time for the start of the meeting. So if we need 2 hours, we need 2 hours. And we can prepare them, and then we can let them know, have a little break in between. So we've consulted, we've talked about that. It's not ideal. We'll obviously be cognizant of what to put on the agenda when it comes to presentations and delegations, kind of steer them away to different dates. So things that we could organize in-house to make sure that it's pretty smooth, but gives you the flexibility that, hey, if we want a long night, you want to go 3 hours, there's no pressure. The meeting, hopefully with a short agenda, also after, we'll follow it. I hope that helps. Thank you.
Thank you. So first of all, my thanks to Councillor McTaggart and Councillor Morrison for their flexibility. Councillor Bean?
Just for confirmation, Mr. Mayor, through you, that's only affects 2 meeting dates, correct? With the same nights we have regularly scheduled council meetings. Otherwise, we start at 5 o'clock and we go to whenever.
Agreed.
So it only would affect 2 meetings, is that correct? Under the current option schedule?
I believe it's
think it's
2
two.
meetings, but I see Councillor Brunetta saying 3, so
February 8th is another.
February 8th.
February 8th
Would it be 3?
or 9th, sorry, February 9th, yeah. I believe that was when I checked them, sorry.
So maximum 3. And we could, our treasurer will corroborate that.
Three. So that's option 1 then?
Mhm.
Okay. So we've had some discussion, but you might want further discussion on the nuts and bolts. Is there any further discussion, questions or comments? Yep, Councillor Bean?
Mr. Mayor, for clarification through you, I thought maybe we're looking at now option 4, starting at 5 o'clock, and then those meetings that conflict with the council meeting that night, we just start later. Is that the impression I was given?
I heard Councillor Morrison say 4:30. Is that what?
Okay.
And that was option 1, right? Yeah. Just want to make, okay, everyone's good? You sure you're good? Calling the question, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, 9.4, update of the employee conduct policy. And the resolution I'll put on the floor reads that council approved to adopt the updates to the employee conduct policy as presented, and the council direct administration to bring forward a bylaw at the next meeting of council for formal adoption of this policy. Could I get a mover and seconder, please? Councillor McTaggart and Councillor Morrison. Okay, councillors, questions, comments? Councillor Brunetta.
Thanks for the report, and I really appreciate the detail on the changes to the policy. I'm just wondering, I know some policies, council members are also included as employees. So would this apply to council members as well? Or I think we also have our own conflict of interest policy. Just double checking.
Okay, HR manager or clerk, Madam Clerk?
Through the chair, Manager Sexton has referred me to the new changes, so I will be reviewing the code of conduct policy for council to make sure that they're up to the new legislation.
Thank you.
Further questions, comments? Seeing none, calling the question, all in favor? It's carried, no one was opposed. Okay, moving on to number 10, Community Service Division reports. There are none. 11, Planning and Development Division reports. There are none. 12, Operations and Facilities Division reports, and there are some. 12.1, this is a request for a GIS data share. The resolution reads, the council approval of report AR-25-0887 will agree with the recommendation of administration to enter into a GIS data share agreement with KGS Group in support of the redesign of the Central Avenue intersection, and that an authorizing bylaw be prepared to allow the mayor and clerk to execute the agreement on behalf of the corporation, and that council waive the fees associated with the data as the proponent is working on behalf of the corporation. Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Councilor Bernetta, and Councilor Behan. Any questions or comments, councilors? Okay, seeing none, calling the question, all in favor? It's carried. No one was opposed. Okay, 12.2, this is the award of tender 2025-OF11, which deals with the Hallett and the Awandam Park construction. The resolution I'll put on the floor details. The council approval report AR-25-0888 will approve direction to administration to proceed with option. We'll fill that in later as detailed below. And the council pass the required bylaws to execute the required agreements based on the selected option. Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Councilor Behan and Councilor McTaggart. Okay, questions or comments? Councilor McTaggart.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I'd like to thank Mr. Miller for his work on this report. One of my questions is, does this tender include restoration of the Hallett itself?
CEO, Manager Rob.
Thank you through the chair. No, this does not include any restoration of the Hallett itself. And the additional costs that are noted in here is related to craning the Hallett from its current location to whatever its future location would be.
Follow up?
Thank you. You know, the Hallett is a significant part of the story of Fort Frances and its history. It's a local focal point on our waterfront, and I'm in favor of properly displaying this artifact as a story to be told of our history and for future generations to learn. This has to be done in a fiscally responsible manner, so I am unwilling to spend $1 million extra over the approved budget amount for the project. So, to my way of thinking, the cuts in the option 1 and 2A and 2B are really a non-starter. Option 3 does little to preserve our history, and option 4 doesn't have the impact of seeing the real deal. So I would ask administration to provide council with some hard costs on option 5. That's to put the Hallett back in the river. Included would be the costs of properly and permanent and with a permanent anchor to the Hallett so that if high water should return, the Hallett would not be in danger of floating away again. I would suggest that the Awandam be placed where the Hallett was going to be placed. The Awandam is going to be a static display, so it doesn't need a lot of groundwork. And hopefully we'll have some dollars left over for the restoration of the Hallett. So my question is to administration or direction to administration that they come back with further information on option 5, putting the Hallett back in the water.
Thank you, Councilor McTaggart. Councilor Mackey.
Thank you, Worship. I would tend to agree with Councilor McTaggart. Options 1 and 2, a total of 1.7 million, and we haven't even addressed the Hallett itself. Doesn't go for me, and option 5 is probably the one that makes the most sense for me, most economically feasible. I don't even think I can make a decision here because I don't have enough information on option 5 to properly make a decision, period. So I think we should defer this back to administration to come up with a costing for option 5.
Thank you, Councillor Mackey. Councillor Morrison.
To the chair, I also like option, well, I prefer option 5, I guess, of anything, just because of the expenses are so high. I'm just wondering if maybe if the platform is a little bit higher or the base, would that help a situation? How much higher do you think it would have to be, Manager Rob?
Manager Rob.
Thank you through the chair. That is a great question. We flooded in 1950. No one thought it was ever going to get higher than that. We flooded in 2022. I can't say how high we would need to go. Providing an anchor, some sort of anchoring system to ensure that the Hallett is held down in high water events. I don't think you'll find an engineer in the province of Ontario that would ever sign off that this boat that's made to float is anchored down good enough that it's not going to float. In 2022, we tried that. We weighted the boat down with a substantial amount of ballast. It still floated. So I think, if we go forward with putting it back in the water, the reality of it is that we will be faced again at some point in the future with the same situation we had in 2022, where there's a high water event and we have to remove that boat.
Follow up.
Could you build a cradle a couple of feet taller? So, the water can only go so high before it's going to over the land. Take a lot of volume to move it up a foot higher even than it was 2022.
Manager Rob.
We can do anything you want. It's how much is it going to cost? The cradles right now are severely deteriorated. It's in water work. That's extremely costly. We're talking cofferdams. We're talking pumping in order to be able to just do repairs to those foundations. If we were to raise them up, now we're talking about rebuilding, re-envisioning the ramp that is providing access. And now we are into the same challenge that we had before, where if you're going to provide a ramp, it has to meet accessibility slopes and things like that. So now all of a sudden our ramp needs to be substantially bigger and longer than it is right now. So as you start going down the road of these things, costs can very quickly spiral out of control as we have to comply with various standards and codes through the province.
Thank you. Councillor Behan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I guess my first question would be directed to Manager Rob. I'm having a hard time differentiating between option 2A and 2B and just what it entails, because they sound very similar in a lot of ways, but I'm just wondering if I'm missing something. So could you sort of explain in as concisely as possible the difference between 2A and 2B?
Manager Rob.
Sure. Option 2A is a phased project that was proposed to us by MBuilds. Option 2B is a phased project where we would actually work with Skylift Miller Murray to develop a scope of work, engineered stamped drawings, and go out for a very short duration tender. And so that gives an opportunity to other contractors that maybe couldn't commit to the entire scope of work, an opportunity to look at a reduced scope of work, which they may look more favorably on, and costs would basically come back with whatever the new tender price was.
Follow up.
So if I'm understanding it and reading it correctly, there would still be a cost associated with Skylift Miller and Murray having to redraw either option, if I'm reading that correctly. And the other thing I'm wondering about is, because it's now March of 2026, would that still make us eligible for the grants we have so far this year for the project?
Manager Rob.
The intent of a phased project would be to try and complete as much of the scope as we could this year still, incurring those costs and being able to capitalize on as much funding as we possibly could before March 31st of 2026.
Thank you. Councillor Bernetta.
Just to follow up on one of the comments you made about accessibility, so the original plan was to, berth the Hallett on land. Is there still not an accessibility requirement?
Manager Rob.
Thank you through the chair. So this is a question that we went through with both sets of designers that have been involved in this project numerous times, because how do you make access to a unaccessible structure accessible? The issue that we run into with the way that it was currently set up in the water is it was a ramp. And so in order to maintain a ramp, there's very specific requirements in the building code about what the slope has to be if it's a ramp. So if we look at raising the boat in the water, we can't meet those requirements to call it a ramp. So now we have to do stairs because there's really only two options. It's a ramp or stairs. So you're again back to redesigning the whole access to the boat. And it's something that absolutely could be done, but bearing in mind that every change like this has additional costs to it.
Sorry to follow up, but in fact, berthing it on dry land would require stairs anyway.
And Rob?
Yes, through the chair. Yes, which has been designed. However, you'll note in the report that due to the cost overage, it was a provisional item in the tender, and we did not include it in the tender or in the award because of the cost overrun. That would be a future project.
So just a comment now.
Go ahead. Comment.
So I mean, none of these options seem terribly palatable to me. To have these boats, set up where we have designated them in phase 1 and 2, but not having the Hallett accessible, or, it's basically just a boat sitting on the land. I don't know, the way it was in the past with people being able to go on the boat and, kind of experience what it would be like was an attraction, I believe. But having a boat just sitting there and people walking by, like, I don't know if it's really as much of an attraction. So I'm really, I guess without the information on option 5, as Councillor McTaggart brought up, I'd still like to defer my decision without having that information, because that would help me make a better decision, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bean, did I see you had a...
I'll say this here. I agree with Councillor Bennett in the sense that I'm having a hard time spending this kind of money on a boat that people can't go on, tour and see, and spend a fare to go up and as part of the museum's programs. I'm not sure that'd be much of a tourist attraction, and I'm not sure it's worth the money. So I guess my question is, through you, Mr. Mayor, can the Hallett restoration happen at a future time down the road, or is it now or never in terms of allowing people to someday access Hallett? Thank you.
Manager Rob.
Thank you, through the chair. I guess my answer to that depends on which option council chooses. My recommendation would be, if the Hallett is going to go back in the water, that we, at the very, very, very least, while it's out of the water, need to take advantage of that to recoat the bottom portion of the hull, the part that's in the water all the time. Because that is the most deteriorated part of the outside of the boat. And once it's back in the water, again, it's next to impossible to maintain that on a go-forward basis. Beyond that, the restoration could happen whenever. Next year, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. However the council wishes to spend the money to do that. It is costly.
Councillor McTaggart.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think restoring the bottom of the boat is a wise thing if we're going to go that way. I wonder, could we table this motion until another meeting in order to get more information on option 5?
We could. I'll just get the flavor for council, but I've been keeping track, and it looks like the majority of council wants to do it. How many would be in favor, council, of tabling this until we can get more information on option 5? Yes. So would you like to make a motion that we table?
I am moving that we table.
Seconded by Councillor Mackey. You want to third it? You have a question? Okay, go ahead.
The chair. Manager Rob, do you remember approximately how much it cost in 2009 to build a cradle the last time?
Manager Rob.
Through the chair, for once, which doesn't happen very often, that was before I was here. I want to say that entire project, the Hallett and the tower, was somewhere around like $1.2 million or something like that. It seems reasonable. The trick with it is going to be the dewatering component of it in order to get access to those. And the challenging part about that is that we have a structure now. If memory serves me correctly, that the foundations were put in before that wharf was there that you access the boat off of. So now you have basically shoreline access into a cofferdammed, dewatered area to work. Now we don't have that anymore because we have a structure in the way. So a cofferdam for that is going to be a little bit more challenging and require a little bit more work. So I'm not sure that the costs back in 2009 are even relevant compared to what they would be for what we're trying to do right now.
Councillor Mackey?
Thank you, Worship. I guess my concern here is we're going to spend a bunch of money. We're going to have it set up wherever we decide to do that. Historically, how much revenue has the Hallett generated in fees to go look at it versus if you took the greatest amount in any year and extrapolate that to next year versus how much money is it going to cost on a yearly basis to look after that? In light of, it costs, the spray park costs us money, everything costs, that's going to have a cost. Is it going to be $50,000 in cost to generate $500 in visitors' fees? Then that is another aspect we need to consider on top of paying whatever we're going to pay to deal with the Hallett.
Thank you. Manager Rob, would the next meeting be enough time for you to get together a report on costs, or would you need more time than that?
Through the chair, we could probably do a reasonable estimation on design costs. Construction costs without a design is going to be extremely challenging to be even remotely close, beyond a straight guess. I'll be just totally honest. Because we do have some designers already engaged on the project, reaching out to them and saying, what would the cost for this look like? But like I said, the construction cost is an absolute guess at this point without undertaking a full design of the work that has to be done and doing the testing and all the pieces that need to happen in order to really have a good scope.
So for the next meeting, you could come with some idea of the cost. That might give council a chance then to make a decision. So yes, Councillor Mackey?
And if I might add in that, the numbers that I've just requested, if that's possible to have some speculative numbers on that as well.
So all in favor of tabling until the next meeting? That's carried. No one was opposed. Okay, 12.3. This is a request for quotations for the Nelson Street sidewalk. Resolution reads that council approval of report AR-25-0873 will agree with the recommendation of administration to proceed with the construction of the sidewalk extension on Nelson Street from Victoria Avenue to the municipal parking lot, and that council approves the increase in budget allocation for these works to $40,510.66 to cover the budget shortfall. Could I get a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Behan, Councillor Bernetta. Okay, questions, comments? Councillor Bernetta?
I'm in favor of option 4, just withdrawing the entire idea. truthfully, I think my tolerance for over budget quotes has reached the max. So at this point, I'm thinking that it's not something that's absolutely required and something that we should just take off the table. Thank you.
Further questions or comments? Councillor Mackey?
Thank you, Worship. If I recall, not too many months ago, we discussed directed administration to look at putting the parking on the south end of the senior center. And we haven't had a response to that yet. So I'm wondering what those numbers would be versus this sidewalk venture.
Okay, that's slightly out of order. Just on the item before you, any further questions or comments? Okay, calling the question. All. You have one? I'm sorry.
Sorry.
See ya.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Through you. I'm of the opinion that the sidewalk is needed to address the parking space shortage at the center itself, and having a gravel path that can't be used in the wintertime is no good, even if it's just for this coming winter. What I hate about it most is not only the budget overage, but the fact that next year the price is probably going to go up even higher. If we defer it, we're looking at even more money to spend in 2026. I'm in favor of option one because I think we have to get this done, because I think it's important that we have that sidewalk, because right now, connecting that parking lot to the senior center, there is no sidewalk, and that's just not safe. So if we want parking space, extra parking space for the senior centers to access, we need the sidewalk to connect it. Thank you.
Okay. Further questions or comments? Calling the question. All in favor? Yeah. You're in favor? On the item before you, are you in favor? Oh, sorry, yeah. With option one. Are you in favor of this with option number one? 1, 2, 3. Opposed? 1, 3, 4. Okay. Motion fails. Do you wish a different option? Councilor Burnett?
I'll propose removing the option, so option 4.
Okay. How many would be in favor of this with option 4? I'll go with option 4. Okay, so the resolution then is with option 4, and just a high show of hands so I can see how many are in favor of option 4. Opposed? Okay, option 4 carries. Okay, 12.4. Entering into a conditional agreement with the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund to renovate McCurvin Rink and Park. Resolution reads that council approval report AR-25-0876 will agree with the recommendation of the administration to enter into a conditional contribution agreement with the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation for funding to support the McCurvin Rink and Park renovation project, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized by bylaw to sign the agreement on behalf of the corporation. Could I get a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Morrison? Councillor Morrison? Councillor McTaggart? Okay, councillors, questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried, no one is opposed. Okay, 12.5. This is the Connecting Links Intake 10. And the resolution reads the Council of the Town of Fort Frances approve report number AR-25-0882 to authorize the Connecting Links Program, intake 10, contribution agreement for the reconstruction of Scott Street between Mosier Avenue and Armott Avenue, and that a bylaw be prepared authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute the agreement on behalf of the corporation, and that Cody Vangel, Transportation Superintendent, be authorized to approve the agreement electronically in the Transfer Payment Ontario user portal. Could I get a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Bernetta and Councillor Behan. Councillors, questions, comments? Being none, calling the question. All in favor? It's carried. No one was opposed. Okay, which brings us to item number 13, bylaws.
Your worship,
Oh, sorry.
may I? In terms of bylaws, could we separate out bylaw 5425?
We certainly can.
And just a quick comment, and it may be just an oversight, but on bylaw 90-23-C, in the wording, come on, do your thing here. It says earmark book not defined twice in that bylaw, and just wonder.
Through the chair, that was an error in transferring it to a PDF, and we caught it when printing off the bylaw. That's just the page index.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so we're going to separate out bylaw 54-25. So the resolution reads that the following bylaws be introduced and read and finally passed, signed by the mayor, clerk, and sealed with a corporate seal and become law forthwith. Bylaw 52-25 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement with Miller Environmental Corporation, re-tender 2025-OF10. Bylaw 53-25 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement with North Construction Limited, re-tender 2025-OF-12. And bylaw 90-23-C, as corrected, being a bylaw to establish the terms of reference for the Dog Park Committee. Could I get a mover and seconder for that, please? Councillor Bernetta, Councillor McTaggart. Any discussion? Calling the question, all in favor? That's carried. No one was opposed. A little technical glitch. We'll just get it cleared up. Okay, now we're good to go. So back to bylaw 54-25. The resolution now reads that bylaw 54-25 being a bylaw to award Bay City contractors with tender 2025-OF09, introduced and read and finally passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the corporate seal and become law forthwith. Can I get a mover and seconder on this bylaw, please? Councillor Behan, Councillor Bernetta. And now discussion on this bylaw.
Thank you, Worship. I'm going to vote against this bylaw. I just think that we are, I'm not happy with their performance this year, and I just can't in good conscience award a tender for next year.
Thank you, Councillor Bernetta. Any further discussion or comments? Councillor Mackey?
I have to say that I agree with Councillor McTaggart. They can't seem to finish the job on time, and we still got 2 months. And a month ago, they're saying that they can't get this year's done. what's to say they're going to get the rest of this year and next year done by the end of next year? It isn't going to happen, in my opinion. So why are we looking at them again?
Thank you. Any further discussion or comments? Calling the question. All in favor? I can see you, Councillor Firth, hand up. Nope. Opposed? Okay, it fails. Defeated. Councillor Bien.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, for clarification, what would happen now?
That was going to be my question. I'm going to either the CAO or Manager Rob. Manager Rob.
Thank you through the chair. What I would be looking for would be a motion to reconsider the report that came before council at the last meeting to award to Bay City contractors, which would come back for discussion.
So we need someone who voted in the majority last time to make a motion to reconsider, and I think everyone voted in the majority except Councillor McTaggart. So does someone, Councillor Mackey, and a seconder on that? Councillor Firth? Okay, on the motion to reconsider, any discussion? Yeah, Councillor Bien?
Can we do that this meeting, or it has to be next meeting? I was a little confused about that.
I believe we can do it this meeting, can we? I'm being corrected. I thought we could do this meeting. We have to do it in the next meeting, so my apologies. We'll have to defer this till the next meeting. Councillor.
Point of clarification, please, Mr. Mayor. It would take 2/3 votes to override
Yes.
or reconsider,
Yeah.
and a group of 7, that's 5 out of 7?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so this will come back at the next meeting. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Do we need to vote on the motion to reconsider? Do we don't?
No, we do that at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to item 14, notice of motions. Item 14.1, that motion has been withdrawn. Councilor Morrison, are you submitting something in its place?
Chair, yes, I am.
Okay.
Sorry, it wasn't quite what I had in mind last time, so I withdrew that one, and thanks to the clerk for everything today. Whereas on May 3rd, 2023, Council received report AR 23-0259 to subscribe to an online bids and tenders platform for an annual subscription whereby the bidders paid on annual or per bid subscription to utilize the services. Whereas we have seen success with the use of this program with increase in number of bidders as well as good pricing for certain projects. Whereas we do not see a tremendous number of local bidders utilizing this program for some of the smaller jobs advertised. Whereas the cost of subscription may be a barrier to smaller entities participating in municipal procurement activities. Whereas report AR 23-0259 outlined an option for the municipality to pay a higher annual fee, allowing bidders to submit bids for free. However, council chose not to proceed with that option at that time. Now, therefore, be it resolved that council directed administration to review the pricing options to consider increasing the town's contributions, reducing the burden on local contractors to bid on municipal jobs. And the administration provide an update report to council on pricing options before the end of the year. And that administration prepare an informational resource available to all bidders outlining submission requirements such as bid bonds, insurance information, and steps to sign up for invitational tendering, and incorporating short educational statements to make it easier for all capable contractors to understand and meet bid requirements. And administration establish a bids and tenders email notification list that contractors subscribe to, so that upon issue of a tender, they receive a timely notification.
Thank you for that. That'll come up at the next meeting for a mover and seconder. No action needs to be taken at this time. And 14.2, Councillor Firth has a notice of motion.
Your worship, would you like me to read that all again?
Council, are you able to take that as read, or do you want Councillor Firth to read it? I'm hearing it's okay. Yeah, so we'll take it as read. Okay, good. Okay. So, Councillor Firth, I'm assuming that you're moving yours?
I am, your worship.
Yep. Seconded for Councillor Firth's motion. Councillor Mackey, seconds. Comments or discussion on Councillor Firth's motion? Councillor Bien.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I guess, like further information about what all this means and just what Councillor Firth is trying to get at with this motion. I mean, yeah, housing is important, but I'm not sure what the goal is or what we're trying to do here. So if you could maybe give us some more clarity and information of what you're actually looking forward with this motion.
Councillor Firth?
Through you, your worship. The intent behind the motion was to limit the barriers for out-of-town talent to be able to secure potential interim housing to better attract professionals into, for example, like the EDO that we're still trying to fill. So just being very familiar with the housing market, as well as many of you who are here around the table, subsequent housing isn't available within a 3 to 6 month time frame, and we're losing talent in multiple sectors in our community because of that.
Thank you for that, Councillor.
As a follow-up then, so what solutions are you seeing that would address this issue? Shortage. Thank you.
Councillor Firth?
Through your worship, I'm looking for administration to bring back a report on some options for us to consider. I believe that there is partners at multiple levels in our current community that could offer some solutions for us. But as of this very moment, I don't have the solutions handy. Thank you.
CAO?
Thank you, Your Worship. At the highest level, first and foremost, the concept it's utilized in other municipalities, and you can look at doctor retention for that, is just to have staff housing is like the first step. I remember I lived in my motorhome for 8 weeks. My wife reminds me about that all the time. That would be one of the things that we would put on is, okay, it's hard to get rentals. Do we want to invest X dollars as an asset, temporarily or long-term? It doesn't have to be for 50 years, in order to, when we do get an application that's successful, it alleviates one of the barriers. So again, this is common. It's not super common. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head of how many municipalities have it, but many of the bigger ones do have these options in order to have staff housing. This could be in conjunction with other programs or other areas in the municipality that struggle. Though that's the premise of the report would have at least that component within it for you to decide, okay, do you want to go down this path of investment? And then we would look internally at what are the other options in partnerships that are maybe outside of ownership. So I hope that brings a little bit of insight of what the report would entail. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bien.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So if I'm understanding this correctly, we're looking at maybe buying a house or two and we own it, but then we give it to the person we hire for a short-term period while they look for their own housing. Is that my understanding?
CAO?
Your Worship, possibly that would be one option. Absolutely.
Further questions or comments? Calling the question. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carries. No one is opposed. Okay, brings us to item 15, which is the closed session. I have a recommendation that council now meet in camera in order to address a matter pertaining to, one, First Light Solar and BESS land option and lease agreement updates. This falls under 239-2C, a proposed or spending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality local board. And two, appointment of members to the Community Off-Leash Dog Park Committee. This falls under 239-2B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Just missing a sheet here. There it is. Too many pages. Can I get a mover and seconder on that, please? Councillor Firth, Councillor Bien. All in favor? It's carried. No one was opposed. Camera at 7:36. For those who are attending virtually, we're moving into closed session. Once we're finished our deliberations in closed session, we will reconvene and report. Back in open session, and we have 3 resolutions coming out of closed session. Resolution 1 in dealing with First Light and the BES land option and lease agreement. The recommendation reads that council receive the update as information. Can I get a mover and seconder on that, please? Councillor Brunetta, Councillor Morrison. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. No one was opposed. Coming out of closed session related to the Ad hoc Dog Park Advisory Committee, I have a resolution that reads that council appoint the following 4 members of the public: Kim Redford, Jolene Stahn, Lindsay Sims, and Sandra Tibbs to the Ad hoc Dog Park Advisory Committee. Could I get a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Firth. I see Councillor Mackey's hand up. Excellent. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. And for information, Councillor Mackey and Councillor Firth will also sit on that committee. I have a resolution that reads the council approve the closed meeting minutes of August 11th, 2025 as presented. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Behan, Councillor Firth. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. No one is opposed. Confirmatory bylaw, which reads that bylaw 56-25 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council of the corporation of the town of Fort Francis be introduced, read, and finally passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the corporate seal, and become law forthwith. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Firth, Councillor Behan. Any discussion? All in favor? It's carried. No one is opposed. And finally, that having reached the hour of 7:59, this meeting of the council of the town of Fort Francis being now closed. Councillor McTaggart and Councillor Mackey. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously.